As the curtain of the penultimate decade of the 20th century drew to a close, a Japanese manga called Kokaku Kidotai premiered, which became a popular series of anime films and TV series throughout the dawn of the 21st century. Now, 28 years after it first graced the newsstands of Japan, Ghost in the Shell has fallen under the greedy claws of remake demons in the United States. Will Motoko stand strong, defiant, and unmolested, remaining true to her source material? Or will she end up like this? Here's your damn rant show, folks. Greetings, I am E. Adam Thomas, and welcome to Film Rants, the proud bird with a strontium-90 tail. Tonight, we will look at the Ghost in the Shell movie, which I will state for the record right now that I have never seen or read any of the previous material. None of the TV shows or other movies, none of the mangas, nothing. I'm reviewing the film strictly on its merits as a film. In due course, I will be bringing you an interesting diatribe by one of my friends on that damn rant show in a few weeks about the hits and misses between the original source material and this film. Made by Paramount Pictures on a budget of $110 million, Ghost in the Shell stars Scarlett Johansson in the titular role, I said titular, as a young woman whose brain has been preserved and placed in a fully cybernetic body. Of course, surgery like this ain't cheap. So, like Steve Austin before her, she's pressed into service barely moments after she can finally wiggle her new toes. What kind of service, you may ask? Well, quite simply, being a kick-ass cybernetic crime-fighting murder bot with reflexes that would even make Commander Data blush. Her big problem, though, is that she has virtually no memory of her past, and what memory she does have is fucking virtual. They basically erased all her memories, or at least tried to, replaced them with brand new ones, and made her into a bionic super soldier. The problem is, the very case she's working on right now wouldn't even exist if it weren't for the fact that the ass nugget who bankrolled her creation wasn't an ethically diseased shithead to begin with. Think Ronnie Cox in the first RoboCop movie, minus the freakishly long arms. Now, I pretty much have to stop the description right there to avoid any more spoilers, even apparently for folks who are intimately familiar with the original manga series. I will say that this film is visually stunning. Absolutely some of the best CGI I have seen in ages. The bad CGI only looks bad because it's supposed to, at least for the most part, in order to convey the plot-critical flaws in the within-story technology. The action is incredible. I'm particularly fond of a fight sequence in a shallow wash where Scarlett literally takes out the trash, man. Pun there, sorry. This movie has everything from a bunch of sexy, it's okay to show you this because she ain't got no nipples or pubes, nude shots of the bionic Johansson, a touchingly human performance by Juliette Binoche, an amazing supporting turn by Takashi Kitano, sorry, I'm not pronouncing things properly today, who also played Zatoichi himself in the 2003 adaptation of the Zatoichi franchise, and a lovable basset hound. What is lacking is a compelling nemesis. Peter Ferdinando does a passable enough job as Cutter, as a soulless head of an immensely powerful corporation, but when it's revealed he is the true villain of the piece, it's sort of like your old shop teacher in 10th grade turning out to be a KGB assassin. Yeah, he was a fucking asshole, and you should have at least given you a B on that damn clock, even if it did run backwards. But as a spy, he didn't even look like he knew how to properly load a gun, much less fire the fucking thing competently. He was, for me, a major letdown. They didn't need a total scenery chewer like Nicholson and Batman, but a little more flair or something like that would have been nice, especially given that anime is usually known for pretty flamboyant, over-the-top bad guys. This guy really could have been dropped in place of any weekly evil industrialist with the weak character on the old Knight Rider series, and I wouldn't even bat an eye. As for the look of the film, the overall aesthetic of the cityscape, I was truly impressed with the level of detail and the extremes of the advertising flourishes in this world. It was bringing back a lot of flashes of Ridley Scott's Blade Runner universe. Not quite as filthy throughout, but ultimately just as bright and garish with the holographic mascots all over the place. Very sharply realized. One thing that they are getting, because I know that this shit wasn't built by a couple of 100,000 set builders, is how much more seamless these kinds of landscapes and films are getting. You know that a lot of the time the actors are actually just walking around in front of a green screen. But it's becoming less and less obvious. We may actually be approaching a time where physical sets are not even going to be necessary, although in my mind, that's not a good thing altogether. I like good set design. I love the fact that the interior of the Poseidon's 1972, the Poseidon in 1972's Poseidon Adventure was a full-scale set that had to actually be flipped upside down in 2 stages. I adore the fact that the bridge of the Enterprise and the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon were actual places that one could physically inhabit. Hell, you can even go to New York and hang out for a day on the Enterprise with James Cawley if you're so inclined. As a side note, I would give my left kidney to have William Shatner go there and dress as Elvis for some photo ops. But that's another story for another time. While I am excited that the technology exists to bring these worlds to the screen, let's not leave the brick and mortar real studios out to the whims of fate, okay? On to the Rantometer here. Artistic gets a 5. Visually and thematically, this was an impressive film and made the world of the not-too-distant future, but not next Sunday AD, look incredibly believable. Coolness gets a 3.5. I do have to take the film down a couple of notches or so because the story itself had some pretty weak spots in terms of how bland McPaleshart was able to intimidate those who were under his control. Originality gets a 3. The look, as I stated before, was very reminiscent of Blade Runner, and in a few scenes even aped it rather obviously. Also, the story is not unique. From what I understand, Ghost in the Shell's original manga, and in fact a lot of it was borrowed from other sources. Suckitude does get a 1. This film needed a stronger antagonist. And his protagonist, Ms. Johansson, was not quite on her A-game either, to be honest. I kind of have the same feeling with her in the Avengers films, but then I got to know her more through films like Ghost World and Lost in Translation, so there's a little bias there, admittedly. The final score, 10.5. Not a terrible film by any stretch of the imagination, at least for someone new to the franchise. Had I been a big fan of this, as I am of Star Trek or the Godzilla films, from what I understand, this may have been a very different episode. There would probably have been a great deal more fucks screamed gratuitously throughout the show. If anything I have said today upsets you in some way, good. If you agree with everything I said, awesome. Either way, let me know by commenting on this video, looking up that damn Rant Show or Angry Men Reviews on Facebook, emailing me at boratom@gmail.com, finding me on Twitter, whatever. I just want to hear from you, especially if I pissed you off. Meanwhile, from all of us here at Film Rants, say something nice.
Angry Men Reviews. Many fucks said, no fucks given.
A happy
happy moment.